salt linked to type 2 diabetes? It's SaraBanta with Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. And last week, the Health Daily News says, put down the salt shaker, especially if you're at risk for type 2 diabetes, or don't. A new study with the Mayo Clinic Proceedings is correlating type 2 diabetes risk with increased salt intake. While the condition brings to mind, they say, the need to avoid sugar, a new study links it to frequent salt consumption. They go on to say, we already know that limiting salt can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease and hypertension. But this study shows for the first time that taking the salt shaker off the table can help prevent type 2 diabetes as well. Now, what are they talking about? So they said to better understand the link, the researchers surveyed over 400,000 adults registered in the UK Biobank about their salt intake. And over about 12 years on average, the research team saw more than 13,000 cases of type 2 diabetes develop. So this is compared to those who rarely or never used salts. Participants who sometimes, usually, or always added salt had a respective 13, 20, or 39% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes, according to the study. There's so much wrong with this. I'm just like cringing as I'm reading this. Salt encourages people to eat larger portions. Well, that's true, which they increase the chances of developing risk factors such as obesity and inflammation. The study did find association between frequent consumption of salt and higher body mass index and waist to hip ratio. The findings were published in the Mayo Clinic Proceedings. So this study really upsets me. It takes the two topics, salt and type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, and combines them and gives you wrong information. They're correlating results, and it's not a causation study. People who tend to need more salt or have more salt on their food have blunted taste buds, probably because they've been eating more processed foods, which combine emulsifiers, no fiber, added fructose, corn syrup, extra salt, and the wrong type of salt, gluten, glyphosate, GMOs, and all of the things that go into processed foods that lead to insulin resistance and higher uric acid levels and lower copper levels. And how I have talked about in the past how uric acid, copper depletion, and insulin resistance are all related, and they all go back to processed foods. So are people eating proper good salts like the accelerated ancient salt or other salts that have over 62 minerals in them? Or are they eating the processed foods with just this stripped down sodium that is thrown in there? And as we're going to learn, those people who tend to eat processed foods need more salt to taste their food because their taste buds have been blunted. People who tend to eat real food don't need as much sugar or sweetener in their coffee or salt on their food to be added. So it's not actually the salt that's causing the issue, but what else are they eating with the salt? And it's just like saying that red meat is causing diabetes, like we talked about. What else are they eating with the red meat? The burger and the fries and the Coke. And what kind of meat are they eating? GMOs laden food, and these cows are eating corn and soy and other things that are extremely inflammatory, causing inflammation at the cellular level and causing the type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. So there's so much wrong with this study. Let's look at processed foods. Processed foods were not around before 1980. There was not insulin resistance in type 2 diabetes in children before 1980. Did you know that type 2 diabetes was called adult diabetes It had to change the name because of processed foods. Processed foods have been filled with fructose, seed oils, GMO grains, artificial sweeteners, and they have the fiber taken out of the food. And so I want you to go in your kitchen. I want you to juice 5 oranges. I want you to drink that glass of orange juice and realize that you're still hungry. I want you then to sit down and try to eat 5 oranges. You're going to throw up. There's a reason nature put that fiber in food. And fructose. The fructose in processed food is metabolized in the liver, different from glucose. It converts directly into liver fat instead of being utilized effectively directly for energy. It lowers ATP. It lowers your energy. Food's supposed to give you energy. Fructose lowers energy. The fiber helps slow down the rise in blood sugar when it's put with the sweet potato or the apple or nature's food, not in processed foods. It's literally taking the fiber out, injecting that food with more fructose, and it's like putting an IV or cocaine in your veins. It literally is worse. Well, I shouldn't say worse, but it can be worse than drugs because of the way it's administered and the way it's processed. These big food companies are no idiots. They are creating drugs that are stronger and more addictive than the higher heroines and the cocaines and the marijuana and the alcohol. But it is socially acceptable because we all need to eat during the day. These foods have seed oils. The seed oils, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, rice bran oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, grapeseed oil, peanut oil, put the body in pro-inflammatory state, making insulin resistance and other metabolic diseases worse. They then add these artificial sweeteners that may not have calories, but they increase the cravings for more sugar, blunt your taste buds. They actually trigger your brain, your gut, to tell your brain, I'm more hungry. And they hinder fat and protein metabolism. These foods are hyper palatable. That's why these people need more salt. So they're salting more of their processed foods because these foods are so intense with their taste that when you eat any food, you need to add more sugar and salt to it to make it taste like anything. I want you to cut out salt for 2 days, just 2 days, and eat real food, and then try to salt your food again. You will be shocked at how your taste buds will register that salt. Do the same for sugar or your artificial sweetener. Say you're hooked on stevia like I used to be. You cut it out for a couple days, you will be shocked at how sweet your taste buds register that food. And these processed foods have no amino acids to trigger that CCK hormone from the gut to the brain to tell your brain, oh, I've had enough to eat. I don't need to eat anymore. So you end up eating more, and then you end up eating more salt, right? Because you're eating more processed foods, and then you're going to get insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes because you're eating more. Emulsifiers in these processed foods destroy the gut lining, cause leaky gut, which also will increase the insulin resistance because you're wanting to eat more of these sugar and salty foods. The gluten and grains cause leaky gut. They're usually laden with glyphosate and GMOs, which is going to destroy the gut microbiome and your overall health, including insulin regulation. So it's going to contribute to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. And like I mentioned, it's totally messing up with your addiction. It triggers dopamine. That salt and sugar combination triggers a hit to your dopamine into your brain. So then you are going to become more addicted. Now, on the contrary, there's a study where one group had a very salt-heavy diet and one had a salt-deficient diet. They measured their insulin sensitivities. The low sodium group, not only was there no significant change in blood pressure, but the fasting insulin level increased. compared to the high sodium group. In the high sodium group, their blood sugar decreased. When you use a high quality salt like the accelerated ancient salt, you actually can bring a diabetic out of a diabetic crisis and lower their blood sugar. The sodium was shown to dramatically lower blood sugar and insulin and not affect the blood pressure. So why do doctors look to sodium as the culprit of heart disease and diabetes? It's because most people with heart disease and diabetes are eating these wrong foods, including the wrong kind of the mineral depleted salt that's full of microplastics as well, and they're inflammatory ingredients that are coupled with that food and the vegetable oils. And this combination of carbohydrates, processed foods, cheap sodium, and inflammatory oils is going to cause heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and all these chronic diseases. But what kind of salt do you need? You need the accelerated ancient salt. I carry this with me everywhere I go because it tastes amazing, but literally putting a little bit on my tongue, if I'm intermittent fasting, holds me over to be able to fast longer. It's full of over 62 minerals, the minerals that you need, and it has no chemicals or plastics or toxins. It contains the full spectrum of the needed minerals, and it's enhanced with scalar frequencies to detox the body from the radiation, the heavy metals. No other salt comes close. And just by putting that pinch on your tongue, you're going to lower your blood sugar, suppress your appetite. You can actually help yourself with nausea, or if you're not able to metabolize your fat or your meal that you just ate, it will help with that as well. It's composed of raw, unbleached, unheated, unrefined, ancient seabed sea salts from the Andes, the Himalayas, and the US without the stabilizers. We are hand mining our salt. Unlike a lot of Himalayan salts, it is hand mined, not using explosives. Really important that you know that even Himalayan salt can have these toxins in there. It will also help rid your body of the heavy metals and radiation. So this is way beyond just stabilizing your blood sugar. It's replenishing your electrolytes, suppressing your appetite, your sugar cravings, and helping with alleviating your nausea as well. Combine that with the accelerated iodine. Iodine has been shown to decrease insulin needs in diabetics, in addition to improving your thyroid health. The thyroid is the master endocrine gland, and it controls blood sugar. It's the only iodine supplement that has 100% bioavailability. And of course, it's enhanced with scalar frequencies. Now, if you have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, accelerated keto. This not only lowers your insulin resistance and blood sugar, but it provides sustained energy physically and mentally. So you feel like, okay, I can do this. I'm getting off the processed foods and the real culprit to my insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. It includes additional fat burning ingredients that defat the liver. So you're cleansing your liver on a daily basis. No other keto supplement incorporates these ingredients. It breaks down the saturated fats into unsaturated fats in the liver as well. So you're able to convert those into ketones, feeding your brain and your body those ketones much quicker while you're lowering insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. So all three of these are really important to combine if you truly want to reverse your type 2 diabetes. Get off the processed foods and take the right salt. You will see a difference in your blood sugar and your insulin response. Thanks for joining me today. If I can help you with your health issues, contact me through the website, SaraBantaHealth.com. Happy to put together a protocol for you, and join the free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. There's no downside. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you will be a part of a like-minded group to support support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. And my goal is truly to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. Help me with that goal and share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help. I believe 90% of you are suffering from pre-diabetes or insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. So this one needs to be shared. Join us every week, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can find the supplements and all of my podcasts and my coaching at SaraBantaHealth.com. Use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here, and have a great week.